Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be learning how to read hemp certificates of analysis. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the most important aspects when it comes to choosing the right CBD brand. The FDA did a study in the past couple of years that tested upwards to 100 CBD brands, and I think over 40% of them had 20% or less of the CBD contained in the product than was labeled. So we definitely want to have hemp certificates of analysis, which are basically lab reports that tell you everything that's in your product. So for instance, for this product here, the SunMed broad spectrum tincture, this has 1,000 milligrams of CBD in it and no THC. And on the back, it has a QR code that you can actually scan with your phone, and it'll take you right to this here, which is their certificate of analysis. And it shows you everything that's in the product, so you have no guess. There's no guessing, and there's no doubt when it comes to purchasing from this brand. All right, so this article here from Eco Connection, how to read hemp certificates of analysis. Let's go through it together and see if we can figure out how to read these. Now, if you've purchased or attempted to buy a CBD product online, you've probably encountered a lot of terms that were difficult to understand for the average consumer. The cultivation and extraction of CBD require a lot of scientific elements that don't make sense unless you are part of the hemp industry. High-quality hemp companies typically test their products using a third-party lab to make sure they're only of the highest purity and potency, and free of chemicals like pesticides and herbicides. When companies test their products through these labs, they typically receive something called a certificate of analysis, or a COA. Okay, so yes, so third-party lab testing is the key. We want to make sure that the company is outsourcing an unbiased source, so that there is no conflict of interest. A CBD company can test their own in-house for sure, but definitely they need to outsource it to a different testing facility so we can get accurate and safe numbers. All right, now these COAs detail every element found in the product tested and are the company's form of proof that their items are consistent with what they promise their customers. Unfortunately, these certificates are very hard to read unless you understand them and can quickly glossed over by customers who don't take the time to comprehend them. All right, now if you're here, you're not one of those customers, so we're going to learn exactly how we could read these so you know exactly what to look for when choosing the right brand. Now, why are COAs necessary? New hemp companies are popping up every day, but not all of them have the best intentions. Hemp products can easily be mislabeled or misinterpreted when consumers don't know what to look for, and sometimes business owners have the primary goal of making money and not helping their customers feel healthier. In a labeling study done in 2017, researchers found that nearly 3/4 of CBD products are not labeled correctly online, a number that equates to almost 70% of all hemp products sold. And see, that right there gives the bad stigma for CBD, especially in this current climate with the lack of regulation in the space. So companies can definitely take advantage of consumers, and especially because it's a newer product, the knowledge is not quite there yet. And that's what we're here to do today. And that's what this channel is all about, is to get the knowledge out to the consumer so they know exactly what they want, and they have the confidence to purchase themselves. Now, there was an FDA test or a study that studied over 70 brands, and I think an overwhelming majority of them had 20% or less CBD content than what was labeled on the brand. So, for instance, this one is 1,000 milligrams. So a company would say that they have 1,000 milligrams, but there'd only be 200 to 300 milligrams in the bottle, which is egregious. And we want to make sure that we don't get caught in there, and that's where the COAs come into play. All right. Now, this mislabeling can mean that a hemp-based product contains significantly more or significantly less CBD than advertised, which can leave users either utterly unaffected by a product or overly supplemented. And then not only that, you won't be able to correctly, you won't be able to accurately dose your CBD. So say, for instance, you take 2 droppers and you're thinking you're taking an amount of CBD, but in fact, you're taking a lot less. And that's going to affect, let's say, if you use a different brand or use a different type of CBD product, it's just going to mess everything up. When the numbers are accurate, you can dose correctly and you can feel better, quicker, and more effectively. And that's why these lab results are so important. Now, without a COA, you have no way of knowing whether or not a company is telling the truth about their product's chemical makeup. Any contaminants or chemicals could be present in the formula, and you're putting yourself at risk for ingesting potential toxic materials. Yes, and that's probably the biggest portion of the CBD use and having it tested, is all the contaminants and the toxic metals and the pesticides. A lot of CBD companies don't have the money to extract all of those chemicals and everything out, and then they'll mislabel and saying it's organic or toxic free or what have you. And so you definitely want to make sure you know what you're putting in your body, especially when it comes to something that you're trying to get pain relief or anxiety relief. You want to make sure that what you're putting in your body is organic and natural. All right, so how can I read a COA effectively? Before you read about any of the chemical makeup in a COA, you'll first want to look at a company that performed the lab testing. If it's a different company than the one you're buying the product from, you're in the clear. If it's the same company, you have a problem. It's called a third-party lab test for a reason. If there is an internal test, then that qualifies as a conflict of interest. And yeah, this is exactly what I was saying just a second ago. You want to make sure that the company has outsourced their COA. They can also test in-house for their own numbers or their own records, but before they sell it to the consumer, there needs to be an unbiased testing source. The cannabinoid profile is located in the lower half of the first page of the certificate, and it outlines the cannabinoids contained in the product. This list includes things like CBD, THC, and CBG. The list also shows how concentrated the cannabinoids are, so you know precisely how much CBD or THC is in the product you're buying. The column labeled ID lists which cannabinoids were detected in the product, and the column labeled concentration tells you exactly how many milligrams of the cannabinoid is in the formula. If the concentration is listed as ND, it means the cannabinoid was not detected and it isn't present in the chemical makeup. The cannabinoid profile is arguably the most critical part of a COA, as it tells you the therapeutic compounds you'll be ingesting. The heavy metal analysis chart shows consumers the level of heavy metals that have been detected in the formula, if any. The table contains several numbers, but an essential column to look at is the last one, which shows if the level of metals is above or below the allowed limit. If the column reads all pass, then it means that the levels detected are safely consumable. The pesticide analysis chart determines whether or not there are pesticides present in the hemp used to create the product and whether or not these chemicals are safe at a safe level of consumption. Similar to the heavy metal analysis, the most crucial column to read is the last one, which shows if the level of pesticides is passing or failing. If the column reads pass all the way down, it means no significant pesticides were detected in the test. Also, the column labeled result will likely read ND or not detected all the way down. Finally, a terpene profile will be determined which terpenes are in the formula and at what concentrations. Terpenes can work synergistically with CBD to provide specific therapeutic effects. And you should do independent research to see if any particular terpenes would benefit you. Now we'll do a video on terpenes in the future, so look out for that. But yes, so the analysis chart shows many different things: cannabinoid, heavy metal, pesticide, terpenes, um, and some might show a little bit more information depending on which company you go with. But these are definitely very, very important things. It depends also on the type of extraction the company works with. So for instance, SunMed's extraction method is the CO2 supercritical. So that doesn't have any of the metals or the pesticides in it, and it's the purest form of CBD. So yeah, so if you're looking for CBD and you're wondering why it's so expensive, well, not so expensive, but more expensive than your gas station CBD or your run-of-the-mill vape shop CBD, it's because the method of extraction, which is the most important. You want your CBD to be pure. You don't want to be ingesting any harmful metals or harmful pesticides. So really quickly, we're going to be going over the certificate of analysis for this particular product. This is going to be the broad spectrum 1,000 milligram or 33 milligrams per dropper variant of the CBD tincture. Sorry. All right. So first thing you want to look at on here is the company name. So Sunflora Inc. or Incorporated is the company, and the lab is Green Scientific Labs. So right here we see that these two companies are different, which means this is a third-party lab result, which means this is an unbiased, and there's no conflict of interest here. Now, the first thing you're going to see are the cannabinoids test. Here we have like D9-THC, THCA, CBD, CBC, all these cannabinoids. Now, in this particular bottle, we have CBD, CBDV, CBC, and CBN, but most of it is going to be CBD. So as you can see here, CBD weighs 3.4% of all of the cannabinoids, and the amount in it is 971.5 milligrams. All right, so as we can see under the picture here, it's got ND for THC. ND means non-detect, so that means there's 0 THC in it, which it should be because this is a broad spectrum product. Now, the cannabinoids in the bottle are going to be 1,002.6. Now, the amount of cannabinoids in the bottle can vary, usually within 5% of the label. So say, for instance, this is labeled at 1,000 milligrams. So if it has 980 or 1,040, that's for the most part pretty good. Now, like I mentioned, the FDA study a little bit ago, there were products that were testing at less than 20% than advertised, which is ridiculous. I mean, you're spending your hard-earned money on something that is going to give you relief, and you find out that it's not even a good product. So we definitely want to make sure that we're reading these certificates of analysis so that we don't have to go through that. All right, so now this bottle, it'll show a chart here for this, and you can see that most of it is going to be the CBD cannabinoid. All right, so let's see. So this is the terpenes profile. It shows that this one has 4 different terpenes that are the most prominent. There might be different terpenes or more terpenes in there, but they're so low in the amount that they're not worth mentioning. All right, so here we are with the pesticide analysis. This should be ND all the way down. I mean, you'll see the results here, and it says ND all the way down, ND all the way down, which is perfect. That means there's no pesticides in this batch. Residual solvents. Now, with the supercritical CO2 extraction, there's no need for solvents. for the extraction method. So this should also be ND all the way down, which is perfect. Now we have microbial analysis, which is yeast, mold, all that good stuff. Pass, 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 pass. That means no salmonella, no E. coli. We're good to go. And this is the heavy metals, moisture, filth, foreign materials, and this should be all ND and pass. So pass, no foreign materials detected, ND, and these are perfect. All right, fantastic. So after looking at that, a consumer can guess that this product is a good product and a reputable brand from all the things that we mentioned in this article and when I went through this with you guys today. Now, that is it for today. Like I said, we definitely want to make sure this is the most important part about choosing a CBD brand. And I assume when more regulation comes from the government, they're going to demand that every CBD company has hemp certificates of analysis. It's kind of like the gold standard right now. It's like if you don't have a hemp certificate of analysis, you're a bad brand. It's just not good. So this is, I can't stress enough, the most important part about choosing a reputable CBD brand. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. Definitely down to answer anything or do some research if I don't know the answer. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy who likes to read, and I own a CBD store. So definitely want to make sure that we're helping people, and we're not out here just to make money. We like to help people. So if you guys have any questions, again, feel free to comment them in the comment section below. And if you like the video, please like this video and subscribe, and look out for more videos in the future. But you guys have a wonderful day, all right? Goodbye.